95.3 WBCK now presents Coach's Corner, live from Lakeview Ford. For over 6 decades, this has been your number one source for all local sports information. Coach's Corner is proudly presented by Lakeview Ford, where community matters. Now, here's your host, Bill Broderick.
Hey, this is Bill Broderick of the Battle Creek Choir, here sitting in the big chair at Coach's Corner, coming to you from downtown Battle Creek at Lakeview Ford. For more than 6 decades, Coach's Corner has been talking to the city coaches about the week in high school football. Around the corner, we will be talking to the first coach of the morning, but first, here's the WBCK Coach's Corner scoreboard from Friday night. In the WBCK game of the week, down at CLVO Post Field, Battle Creek Central fell short in its game against Portage Central. Portage Central beat the Bearcats 28-9. In the game I was at last night, number 2 ranked Climax Scots hosted St. Phil. The Climax Scots beat the Tigers 47-14 in 8-player football action. Some couple other homecoming games last night. Last night, Harbor Creek had its homecoming. They hosted Parma Western. The Beavers fell short in that matchup in the Interstate 8 Conference. Parma Western beat Harbor Creek 21-6. And in Penfield's homecoming game, they had a happy homecoming. Penfield had itself an Interstate 8 Conference matchup. And Penfield beat Coldwater 46-21. Lakeview went on the road over to Lake Michigan and had a tough road back as Stevensville Lakeshore beat Lakeview 56-20. Other games in the area, Hastings beat Marshall 58-20. Bellevue knocked off Colon 50-28 in another 8-player game contest. Gull Lake beat Benton Harbor 27-16. Union City knocked off Quincy 54-0. And Lawton took care of Galesburg, Augusta 68-21. We'll be back with our first coach of the morning here on WBCK FM.
Coach's Corner on WBCK, brought to you by Lakeview Ford, where community matters. Now back to the show.
We're back on Coach's Corner. I'm Bill Broderick of the Battle Creek Choir. We're here with our first coach of the morning, St. Phil coach Mark Passetti. How's it going, Coach?
Good, Bill. How are you?
We're doing all right. You and I were over in Climax last night. We had a big game against one of the top teams in 8-player football in the state. Number 2 ranked Climax Scots, a big rival of St. Phil every year. Climax Scots, and you guys played tough early. It was a close game early. Then Climax Scots kind of pulled away late and won 47-14. But you had to like how you guys played early, and I know the Climax Scots coach Tyler Lang said the same thing. You guys came out hard in the first quarter, kicked them in the teeth a little bit, and had something for them in terms of matchups and scheme, and that made that game tight early. What was happening early in that game?
Well, Coach Downey and Coach Schaub spent a lot of time this week. We went back to working on just basic things and cleaning some things up. And it showed. I mean, it showed the way that we were coming after things. We talked with the kids. I know Coach Downey spent a lot of time talking to them about, look, 3, 4, 5 yards. If we can get positive yardage every play, we're going to be okay. And that's exactly what we did. Defensively, Coach Schaub spent a lot of time with the down linemen, working with them with their technique and stuff and getting off blocks and stuff. And we were doing a good job defensively also. They broke a long run, which, that's going to happen. But we get the ball back, we drive right down and score. And it was just nothing, no big plays or anything, just a solid ground out touchdown drive. They score again, we're driving again, and then we fumble. But the way we played, we were happy with. A lot of the things that we'd worked on in practice were showing on the field.
Yeah, keeping the chains moving, I guess that was key. I mean, you want to keep that Climax Scots offense off the field as much as you can. And, that's what I noticed right away. You guys were getting those 4-yard, 5-yard chunks, and that way you were making it 3rd and short. And at times your quarterback could take off and get that little couple yards, and they really couldn't stop that once you spread him out a little bit because he was able to sneak over, and maybe it was only a 3-yard game, but it was still a first down.
Yeah.
So that was huge for the Tigers. And then on the defensive side, often you'll see Climax Scots, and they'll come out and they'll rip off a 60-yard run right away on a touchdown, and the game will get out of hand early. But you guys were stopping them on defense as well a little bit early, making them go the long way, and that also kind of gave you guys confidence, right?
It did. Like I said, there were. You don't like to lose a game like that, as bad as we did. But I don't know if the score is indicative of how we played. We did play well until we had some setbacks and some injuries, and then things kind of got a little bit out of hand. But I still give our kids credit, even though we had kids playing out of position again, which is usual for us. They still hung in there, and they still kept trying to work on the things that we've been working on all week.
Well, St. Phil, you guys, when you're on the sideline with your coaches, you're only joined there by 2 or 3 players on the sidelines with the 8 guys on the field. Climax Scots has 15 or 20 guys on the sidelines with them.
Yeah.
So when you, in the second and third quarter, when they started pulling away, I think that had a little to do with attrition there. And they have that depth, and your guys playing both ways, a little tired, especially in the second half, and that kind of showed on the scoreboard. They were able to break off some of those long runs at that point.
And us losing Brady Lightfoot, I mean, that lost him a week ago, and that hurts us. I mean, it really does hamstring us because he can play a lot of different spots for us. If we need someone to move, he knows what he's doing at a lot of different positions, and he's capable of playing a lot of different positions. So
you bring up last week, and we weren't able to talk about that last week because it was an afternoon game on Saturday, and you guys had a fun game last week, and they come from behind a win and on homecoming, and you beat Athens 44-38. Did dramatics and fireworks late. Let's talk about that game a little bit in terms of how that was probably the high point of the season so far for you guys.
So far, but the one thing that I've talked with the kids about, and that my takeaway from that game was there were things that we had talked to them about over the couple weeks leading up to that game, is things that we weren't doing well, things that we needed to do the extra work on. And I'll take Nate Rappeljay as an example. Nate, as far as you kicking the ball on kickoffs and the placement and things that we need, we're not getting it. So here's Nate, for the last few weeks, he's down to practice early, out by himself, walks in, coach, how you doing? Grabs the ball, bag of balls out, and he's out working on his kickoffs. We had one where we got to have that ball out of bounds. It didn't get there, and they run it back for a touchdown. But then again, when time came for it, we needed an onside kick, and we got the onside kick we wanted. And, I mean, he did a good job getting where it belonged, and we were able to recover it and then end up going down and score and win the game. But it's those little things that, guys, now do you understand why we're always harping on you about special teams, why we're always talking about we need to put the extra work in, and the kids understand it.
It's a huge game for a couple of your top players. Colt Myers had 347 yards passing, 4 touchdowns. Carter Zwick stepped up big, especially because some injuries there. Had 8 catches for 289 yards. The big bummer from that whole thing is Brady Lightfoot did go out with a hip injury. He'll be out for the rest of the season. On the field, it didn't look great, and it wasn't great afterwards. He spent some time in the hospital after that. But how's Brady doing? I saw him on the sidelines last night, and his spirits are up.
We were thrilled to see him on the sidelines last night. Not see him in a wheelchair, but see him on the sidelines. He had surgery Monday. Surgery went well. From what I've been told, doctors have told him that he could run track this year, which just shocked me when I heard that. But they say, no, everything went so well that it's possible he could run track this year, and he'll definitely be able to play football next year.
Well, that's awesome. That's good news, and that's it's always hard to see that it's happened, and it's happening maybe a little bit too often here in the city. A lot of injuries, a lot of teams right now. Looking real quick to next week. St. Phil's going on the road, trying to get healthy against a Burr Oak team that's struggling a little bit. You guys are trying to bounce back from Climax Scott, so you can always get banged up from the Climax Scott's game and come out with some bumps and bruises. But going to Burr Oak, what do you see there, and what do you hope it's going to happen?
Well, they're struggling. I mean, I'll be honest. I've seen some of their films, and they're struggling. Their numbers are a little better than us, but they've got a quarterback that's got some speed, and that's something that we're going to have to make sure we take care of him. But other than that, like I said, they're a struggling team, and hopefully we can use this week. We're going to have to get healthy. We are pretty banged up. We were down to 9 players last night for a period of time, and Tom Lawrence has told me everything looks good. Nobody's hurt to the point where they can't participate this week. So it's just going to be get them through and get everybody healthy and healed up, and then get on the field and going. And hopefully we just keep going forward with the things that we worked on this week and improve on, because Climax is a good team, so they're gonna make you see what you're doing wrong. Yep. And they showed us that we were doing some things right. Like I said, as time went on and we got a little banged up and we had some different players in there, it showed the things that we still need to go do some things and get better at some specific things.
All right, well, we'll talk about that next week at Burr Oak, and we'll look for some health and some good luck this week. So thanks a lot, Coach, and we'll see you next week.
All right, thanks,
We're
Bill.
back on our next Coach of the Morning on WBCK.
Coach's Corner on 95.3 WBCK. Proudly brought to you by Lakeview Ford, where community matters. Here's Coach's Corner.
We're back with our next Coach of the Morning here. I'm Bill Broderick of the Battle Creek Inquirer here on WBCK's Coach's Corner, and we're here with Harper Creek Coach Mason Converse. How's it going, Coach, this morning?
Good morning, Bill.
Harper Creek had homecoming last night at Beaver Stadium and hosted state-ranked Parma Western. Parma Western came away with a 21-6 game. That was pretty important in the Interstate 8 Conference rankings there. And Parma Western is an experienced team, perennial playoff team, and they jumped on you early, but you guys responded, played really well late. You just didn't have enough firepower to keep it going, but you had to like how you guys played last night.
I don't like how we started out the game, and that's on me. We've got to find a way to get these kids. We're a young team, and that sounds like an excuse, but I've got to find a way. We've got to find a way to get them better prepared to believe in themselves in big games like that. And we changed our approach last week from this week. I thought it was a little bit better, but we were still, you could feel the nerves, and we dropped the opening kickoff and got it on about the 9-yard line. So that put us back in a hole a little bit, tight field position, and then we faced some adversity. We lost our quarterback on the third play of the game. That really kind of made everybody kind of just stumble a little bit, like, whoa, okay. But I'll give our guys credit. They battled hard the whole game, didn't quit, and we were right there. We had a chance to score late to make it 21-14 with about 5 or 6 minutes to go, and we just didn't come away. We didn't come away with a score there, but Chase Nichols stepped in and did an outstanding job at quarterback. He was ready. He'd been preparing for that moment all year, and couldn't be more proud of him.
Parma Western put 21 points on the board in the first half, and you're facing number 6 team in the state, and they put 21 points on you in the first half, and you guys are in a big hole. Going to halftime, you can come out of the second half of kind of some of those games, and we've seen that things can go the wrong way. But your defense stepped up, shut them out in the second half, gave your team a chance to stay in that game and be in that game. Talk about your defense a little bit and what they did in the second half.
So there was some things leading up to that, actually, that kind of put us in that hole, and this comes back on me, comes back on the coaches. We've got to do a better job of getting our young men ready to go. We missed a lot of tackles in the first half. Again, those are things that we haven't done this year, and that's obviously one of the pillars of being a successful football team is being able to make tackles, and they were running through tackles, breaking tackles. We were down 14-6 or 6-14. And late in the second quarter, we had them, I think it was about fourth and goal from the 9. We knew what they were going to run. They knew what they were going to run. Our corners knew what they were going to run. They hit a slant for a touchdown. And that was a big play. You know what? And they hit it over our sophomore, Tegan Turnbull, and he knew it was coming, and he was in good position. Their kid just made a better play. And I'll give Tegan a lot of credit. Again, he's just a sophomore, but he's a competitor, and he learned from that. And later on in the game, he makes a big interception to get us the ball back in the second half. And our defense didn't play well early, then came around and played, kept us in the game, and continued to churn. And we have Brady Southfield led us with 9 tackles. Braden Bess added 7 tackles. Trace Clark had 8 tackles. I mean, we have guys making tackles and doing what they need to do in the second half to keep us in the game, and just really proud of them.
On the offense there, you're able to run the ball like you have all year. Bronson Carpenter had a game-high 132 yards on just 15 carries. That had to be good to see. With Jesus Macedo, your quarterback, going out in third play of the game, that makes you guys have to scramble a little bit, but Chase Nichols came and stepped in at quarterback and scored a touchdown for you there. The idea that going forward with him, having another week of practice at that position, if Jesus can't come back, what's that look like for you guys and trying to get him ready for next week?
I mean, as coaches, really in life, you have to plan for adversity, and so we were ready with a plan. Obviously, it takes the game plan that we had and maybe cuts things in half or shortens it a little bit. But Chase did a terrific job, and he adds a running piece that we didn't necessarily have with Jesus. And again, Jesus probably throws it a little better. So we just had to change some of those plays throughout the game. And Chase did a great job with Chase's ability to run. That helped open things up for Bronson, and Bronson didn't. He had 130. I actually didn't think he had that many yards until I looked at the stats after the game, because they were hard fought in the trenches, bouncing it outside here and there. I mean, those were hard fought yards, and we definitely tried to get him the ball in space. He made some things happen once he got it. So we're gonna rally behind our big offensive line, our strong offensive line, and the running ability of Bronson Carpenter and our running backs. And then now Chase Nichols he can throw it well enough, and he adds the ability to run, quarterback run, that just adds, defenses have to account for that now. So he'll be fine.
Yeah, we're looking forward to next week. We have a fun game coming up. It's always a fun game when city rivals face each other, and we have another one of those next week. Penfield's going to be coming to Harbor Creek. Penfield's come off a couple of wins in a row, and after a early start where they struggled a little bit under learning a new offense, Harbor Creek has a couple of losses in a row. So the vibe there is a little unique. But Penfield coming to Harbor Creek, that's always a big game and one that the kids get excited for.
Anytime you play a crosstown rivalry, it's a big game, and I know we have 2 games that we've kind of taken on the chin here, but we are 4-2. We're a very good football team, and we're not going to sit here and feel sorry for ourselves. And we know Penfield's got some momentum. Coach Hatton does a great job, and again, crosstown rivalry, they're going to come in ready to play and going to try and knock us off as well too. And we're going to defend home turf. It's really our last home game. So we're gonna take it, and it's going to mean something to our seniors. It's going to mean something to our whole team, because we've only gotten 3 home games this year, or we only get 3 home games this year, and our young men will be ready.
Yeah, the schedule has been challenging lately. 2 of the perennial powers, the Interstate 8 and Hastings Department Western, and fall into those. But you guys are still in good position to make a run for the playoffs. If you take care of business, like you said, when you need to, that puts you in a good spot. What from Penfield have you seen that on tape that you guys have to kind of prepare for?
I have not watched a lot of Penfield yet, and that's no disrespect to Penfield in any way. We knew that these last 2 games were going to be a gauntlet in terms of deciding the I-8 conference title. So we've put our entire focus around Hastings and Parma, and we didn't play our best in these 2 games. We played well, but not well enough consistently to win these games. But again, we're still, and that's what I want our young men and everybody to believe, we are still a 4-2 football team, and we're 4-2 because we made plays when we needed to make plays, and Penfield's a good, well-coached football team, and they've got good athletes. Our kids know each other because they play summer ball. They do everything together in the off-season in terms of basketball, baseball, other sports, too. They've known each other since they were kids, so it'll be a fun game.
Well, we'll look forward to that. A fun game next week at Beaver Stadium. Penfield coming to Harbor Creek. Big city rivalry game. It should be a big crowd. The community from both crowds will come out, and that's the game that everyone kind of gets excited about. Thanks a lot, Coach. We'll be back with our next Coach of the Morning here on WBCK FM.
Coach's Corner on WBCK, brought to you by Lakeview Ford, where community matters. Now back to the show.
Hey, we're back with our next Coach of the Morning here on Coach's Corner. We're back here, Robbie Hatton, the Penfield Panthers coach. How's it going, Coach?
Good morning, Bill. How's everything going for you, too?
We're going great.
Good.
Penfield had a get-better game last night, I like to call it. Now it's 2 wins in a row for the Panthers. Things are starting to turn around for you, getting back to 500 on the season, which is great. Penfield rolled past Coldwater 46-21 in front of a homecoming game crowd and Interstate 8 conference action, and that had to be a lot of fun last night, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It was an electric environment the entire day. From the pep assembly all the way up to pregame. The people were lining up at 5:30 to get in and secure their spot, and it was an electric crowd. We come out of the tunnel and the helmet and the people. It was a great environment. We had a lot of Rocket kids there. Some alumni, and it was a great night to be a Penfield Panther.
And you guys started fast and jumped on Coldwater, which is what you want to do against the Coldwater team that came in winless. And talk about how important it was to kind of take care of business early and make sure that you guys get rolling. It was 7-7 early, and then you guys went off on and took 24 straight points after that. It kind of gained the momentum and put your guys at ease a little bit.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. I was getting my headset situated during the opening kickoff. And the next thing I know, my back's to the field, and I hear cheering. I look, and Jay-Sean Clark took the opening and kickoff to the house for a touchdown. So that was kind of funny because I wasn't even, I was messing with the headset because our headsets weren't working. So trying to get those working, and it was kind of nice. So it was a great start for us. We've been thinking we could break one soon. Our kickoff. Those kids work hard all the time, and Coach McCaffrey gets those kids ready. We practice real hard. So it was good to see them get one, and then obviously, it was ironic because we scored right away, and then Coldwater puts together this big 7-8 minute drive. So it's kind of a quick score, and then they just drove 4 yards at a time. And, we kicked ourselves in the foot a couple times with some costly penalties on that first drive. But, and then our kids responded. We were quick striking all game. Our offense is starting to become a little bit more dynamic, creating some big plays, with Caden Guthrie and Isaiah and Jay Sean, and we just our line's getting better every day. So definitely, I think it was one of those things that was good for the kids to have some success and and see that, hey, we can run this stuff if we just do our jobs.
Yeah, when you guys came out on defense, Coldwater going to run a little bit of their single wing offense, and that's kind of grind it out. I think they probably wanted to keep your offense off the field a little bit and make sure that keep the game close for as long as they could. And that seemed to work on that drive. Talk about what you saw there in terms of how they were able to kind of move the chains a little bit and put your defense, challenge your defense a little bit. Right?
Yeah, I mean, there's a kudos to Jeff, Coldwater's coach. I mean, he came out in something and we weren't really prepared for it. I'm not going to lie. We hadn't seen it on tape, so we didn't really think they were going to come out in that. But we made some adjustments mid-game. Our DC, Jason Porter, and defensive staff, they really put together a game plan to try to make some changes, and we got to stop. And when they were running their single wing, and that forced them to spread it out. And our defense had a pick six in the second half, which was good. But yeah, I mean, they wanted to pound it and move it and chew up some clock. Obviously, it was hard when our offense is scoring the way it was, and they wanted to keep it close. But like I said, shout out to Coldwater. I'm not gonna lie. In coaching, you look at a lot of momentum. We came out second half, got a pick six, and we're like, all right, they're done. They're gonna fold. We can pound this clock out now. Put the ball on the ground, run, and Coldwater did not give up. They kept fighting the whole game. Even in the fourth quarter, they're still driving and pushing, and it's fun to see that. It was a great game.
What your big play ability on the offense is really what's kind of carried you a little bit the last couple of games when you won these 2 in a row against Marshall and Coldwater. A couple of your skill guys have been coming up big. Caden Guthrie had another big game for you, 157 yards, rushing on 11 carries. He had 2 touchdowns. Isaiah Adams continues to be a threat at the quarterback spot for you, and he can run and pass. And he had a touchdown run, and he had a touchdown pass to Deshaun Clark. And those skill guys, and Deshaun Clark also falls into that mix, those skill guys and that big play ability is kind of what's making Penfield dangerous right now, and something that other teams kind of have to watch out for, right?
Yeah, absolutely. The one thing that we do is we want to move our athletes around and move them in space. Isaiah Adams, potentially could have caught a touchdown last night. We had one in the end zone that we couldn't reel in, but it was one of those things that it's like, we want to put our athletes in space, get them out on the edge if we can. We're not afraid to run between the tackles if we need to as well. I mean, Caden Guthrie, he's great vision. He can go inside out, and we just want to put our athletes in space. If we got to put Zay at quarterback, we'll put him at quarterback. If we got to put him at guard, we'll put him at guard. Whatever we do to be successful, and and that's kind of a testament to this team and the culture they're buying into of, hey, do what's best for the team, and just seeing them buy into this culture that we're trying to build is awesome.
Back to the 3-3. It's kind of a situation where the whole team and the coaching staff can kind of take a deep breath. We're back to 3-3, and now we can kind of get going for the rest of the season. And all things are possible for us, and that's a good place to be. And next week, a huge game for the Panthers going over across town, the city rivalry to face Harper Creek.
Yep.
Fun game for the boys, and the idea that they can get up for that game, play a 4-2 Beaver team. That's going to be exciting for everybody, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm new to the Harper Creek Penfield rivalry. Obviously, I see it. I see it's there. It's a city rivalry. The kids, they get up for it. I think both schools are going to get up for it. It's going to be a big crowd. And obviously, we know what Harper Creek's going to do. They're big, they're physical, they want to pound it down our throats, and we got to try to come up with a game plan to stop that. You can't teach size, but we're hopefully going to be able to do some things schematically that'll help us.
We'll all get excited for that next week. That'll be a big crowd, like we said. Communities from both sides will be coming out to Beaver Stadium. Penfield at 3-3 is going to Harper Creek at 4-2. That'll be the game of the week for everybody next week. Exciting thing to look forward to. We'll look forward to talking about that game next week, with Coach Robbie Hatton. Thanks a lot, Coach. We'll talk more with our next Coach of the Morning here on WBCK FM.
Coach's Corner on 95.3 WBCK. Proudly brought to you by Lakeview Ford, where community matters. Here's Coach's Corner.
We're back here with our next Coach of the Morning. I'm Bill Broderick, the Battle Creek Inquirer here on Coach's Corner. We're back here with Lauren Granger, the Battle Creek Central Bearcats. How's it going, Coach, this morning?
Good morning. It's going well.
Battle Creek Central had its homecoming game last night at City W Post Field, and they hosted state-ranked Portage Central in a SMAC contest. Portage Central came away with a 28-9 win. But talking to you, Coach, that was a game that Battle Creek Central was in all the way. It could have been the Bearcats' best game of the year despite losing that. And you had to be real proud of the way the boys played last night, right?
I was. The effort that I thought they gave us, especially for the situation that they're in, was exceptional, really. And, you look at the stat line after the game. We had 18 first downs, which we have not done in any game this year. They had 21. We had 354 yards of offense, only 9 points to show for it. We struggled to finish some of our offensive drives. We left 21 points on the table, really, because we got stopped on the 1 twice and the 5 another time on downs. And, but you know what? Hey, that's what state-ranked teams do, is they stop you in those situations. And that Portage Central was everything we thought they would be. They were super physical. They made great plays when they needed to, and that's why they win games. We played well. We played well enough to even win, I think. But in those situations, we didn't finish, and that was the difference in the game.
Your 4-year starting quarterback, DeWayne Newton, had another good game, 251 yards passing and a touchdown pass. And the fact that he had such a nice game, he was the WBCK player of the game from Lakeview Ford. And congrats to DeWayne for that. He's got to be on the field for you to have a chance to play in all these games, and being the 4-year starter that he is. And he played great when he was on the field. He was injured late, and that had to be like a punch to the gut for you a little bit at the time. And also, depending on how things go this week, could be something that you have to deal with the rest of the season here.
Yeah, and that happens in the game. As Coach Converse mentioned earlier, as a coach, you have to plan for those adverse situations. And so we do have a backup quarterback, and he came in the game and was ready. And obviously it was at the end of the game, so he wasn't asked to do much. But if we have to move forward without Devoyne, which I hope we don't, just for Devoyne's sake, because, Devoyne had declared at the beginning of the year that this is probably going to be it for him for football. He just wasn't sure if, even though he has opportunities to play college football, he wasn't sure if he wanted to. And so I hope he gets to finish out his year just for his sake, because he has given, everything he has to football, and you just hate to see a kid get shortchanged like that. But DePriest Andrews has been kind of waiting in the wings, so to speak, and been practicing at quarterback all year long. He played quarterback on the JV last year. He can step in and do the job if he needs to, and he will. And he's a competitor too. So, overall, you hope Devoyne's okay, but I hope Devoyne is okay. But we'll move on. We'll move forward if not.
Yeah, that's a tough thing to look at. Devoyne set school records last year for yards, and one of the better quarterbacks that you've had there. And we will hope that Devoyne can get better and get back on the field before the season's out. It'd be nice for him to get back on the field for next week. That's a huge game for the Bearcats every year. They are playing Kalamazoo Central, the Maroon Giants, in the longest-running rivalry west of the Alleghenies, as an old coach used to tell me every week when we do stories about that. The Bearcats and Maroon Giants, when they play, they've been playing every year since the 1890s. And that's a game that both teams can get up for every year, despite the circumstances. And it's a game that the Bearcats will be talking about all week and getting ready for.
Yeah, and we're excited. We got a little bit of a lift this week. Thursday, we got clearance for Michael Stein to play again. He's been obviously injured the whole year, and he was our top target on the offensive side of the ball coming into the season. So he did play last night. He did have a couple catches last night. We did limit him just because, he hasn't really been conditioned to play in a football game over these past few weeks. But hoping that next week he gets even more opportunities and really, has a chance to play really great. So, but either way, I think part of what sparked us last night was his return. All of our kids love Mike Stein. We love Mike Stein. I mean, he's just a great kid, and to see him back on the field was awesome. So we're looking forward to that, and with the rivalry game and his return, I think our kids, despite our record, will play energized, enthused football.
Playing the Maroon Giants there, that's something that the kids get up for, like you said. What have you seen from the Maroon Giants yet on tape that might be a challenge for you guys a little bit?
Well, they have a really fast kid, number 2, that brings a lot of dynamics to their offense. They are big and physical. Last year when we played them in JV football, they were a very good JV football team, and so going into the year, I actually thought that they would be a contender in our conference. And obviously, they've had their struggles as well, but they do. Last night, they scored 27 points against Mattawan and lost just by a point. And obviously, everyone saw our struggle against Mattawan just a week ago, and so I think they're playing good football right now too, and they've got personnel-wise. They've got some pieces that I think will give them some advantages in that game. But we've done some things over the last couple of weeks that I think puts us in good position too. We just have to keep our minds right and keep moving in the right direction. And it should be a great game next week.
I think you have to tip your hat a little bit last night to your defense, keeping Porter Central on the only 28 points. That's something that hasn't happened for you guys the last couple of weeks playing some teams. Talk about your defense a little bit and how they play.
Yeah, our defense, the first half we gave up 14 points, and we made them work hard for both their touchdowns. One drive was 5 minutes, the other was 7. And that's kind of what they do with their offense is try to grind it out. But our defense played really well, and we didn't give up big plays like that. Sometimes when you're playing an option, it's real easy to give up a big play. We played good assignment football. Our linebackers, we played without California Bay, our best defensive player last night. and our linebackers stepped up and really did a nice job. Our defensive line did a nice job. I was really proud of the way our defense played, really, overall.
All right, well, we'll get ready to talk about a big game next week on the road. Valkyrie Central is going to Kalamazoo Central in a big rivalry game, and we'll look forward to having some good things to say about that next week. Thanks a lot, Coach. We'll be back with our next Coach of the Morning here on WBCK 95 FM.
Coach's Corner on WBCK, brought to you by Lakeview Ford, where community matters. Now back to the show.
All right, well, I'll talk to you next week. All right, we're back on Coach's Corner with our next Coach of the Morning. We're here with Lakeview Coach Brett Vernon, who coming off a game. They had to go all the way to the Lake Shore and to Lake Michigan, that long trip, and they played Stevensville Lake Shore, and they came away on the short end of that in a smack contest, losing 56-20. Lake Shore is 5-1 on the year. They're on the verge of getting ranked themselves. A really good team. Lakeview's still looking for that first win, but that's a tough place to play over there always, and especially with a team that's kind of rolling. Talk a little bit about how Lake Shore is playing right now in that environment a little bit.
It was a great environment. I mean, they got things kind of rolling down there, community involved, huge community event. You know, that's something I want to get going here at Lakeview, getting that support. But yeah, I mean, the things that they do there, scoring touchdowns, shooting off fireworks, just loud, and you know, I can see that it's probably really fun for them to be playing at a home game down there. So, like you said, tough environment, and we didn't help ourselves out early on. Gave them the ball back a couple times early, and they capitalized. And it's a good team. That quarterback's really good, big, strong, physical, good arm. You know, put the ball where it needed to be. Good, accurate passes. It's a good team down there.
Yeah, they have a football machine going a little bit down there. They've only had 2 losing seasons in the last 30 years, and that's tough to compete with sometimes. And then they have kids that they grow up and hungry to play for Stevensville Lake Shore, and hungry to score a touchdown and see those fireworks go off. So that's a lot of excitement there at Lake Shore every year. Lakeview, again, was able to put some points on the board and move the ball. Jake Harchek had 120 yards rushing from his quarterback spot, and also added 82 yards passing. Davis Barr, again, was a threat from the receiving spot. Had 5 catches for 72 yards. That offense continues to be something you can lean on. And the fact that you can put some points on the board, that's something you always can kind of depend on. And talk about that offense again last night and how that's kind of still building, and that's something that you want to make sure that stays consistent to when you guys can kind of turn things around on the other side.
Yeah, we had a big challenge because Zach Harchek didn't play, and so a big challenge was finding that next guy to step up at our running back position. I gotta give credit to Brendan Bourne. He did a good job of running. We challenged him to be a little bit more of a physical runner, and he did a decent job of doing that. Of course, you got Jake at quarterback. That's dynamic out there, and he did some really good things with his feet. I would have liked the passing game to click a little bit more than what it did. The struggle was we didn't have the ball in our hands very much early on. We got in a huge deficit early. They went down and scored right away. We went a 3-and-out. They went down and scored. They had like a kick that they ended up bouncing off one of our frontline players. Went down and scored. Throw a pick. Our next one scored, and we're down 28-0 early. And then once we settled down, offense started moving. We were moving the ball really well at times, but self-imposed, mistakes. We got to cut those out. And defensively, we got to shore things up. I mean, we're just, it's consistently giving up too many points to give us a chance to win. And that is, obviously, it's been a key for us to fix, and we got to fix it going forward.
And the timing of all those points lately, you've seen that, and we've talked about that a couple of times, those early points and early holes through the ball bouncing the wrong way a little bit here and there has been huge in terms of putting the Spartans in a bad spot. And a Lakeview team that is struggling for wins right now, that is a tough place to be in, a tough mindset to be in when those kind of things happen. But you guys have bounced back into those situations and scored some points late against these teams. Those holes are just too big to kind of climb out of, right?
Well, very much so.
Yeah.
You can't spot teams 20, 30 points, going. It's too hard to come back to. You got to be perfect from there on out. And it's just not where we are as a team. So, we got to do a much better job of starting fast, and that was something that I wanted to do this week. Obviously, it didn't happen, but that's something that we need to do going on in the future here, and hopefully, our homecoming week is going to get us a way to start fast.
It'll be exciting. It's an exciting week coming up, playing at homecoming. The guys getting ready for that. There's a lot of bells and whistles all around that all the time, and that's something to deal with. But for the most part, it's a fun situation to be in. Madawan is coming to town. Madawan, and give them, that's a challenge in itself. But the Lakeview is going to be coming back home, looking for that first win. A look ahead game, possibly also a Valkyrie Central ahead of that in 2 weeks. But playing at home on homecoming, what have you seen from Madawan a little bit that can be a challenge for you, think?
That's a great question. I have, sometimes you don't get the luck of film, the 2 week trades before then. So I haven't seen a ton of Madawan at all. But I know Coach Aerosmith down there. I played at Elvin College with him. I know he's a great coach. He's going to have those guys ready to go. I know they do some difficult things offensively that make you prepare defensively there. But as I say every single week to you, we got to concentrate on ourselves, and we got to make sure that we're doing the details, the little things, day in and day out to be successful. And right now we're not. And so we got to go back to practice. This past week of practice, I thought we had a really good day on Wednesday, not such a great day on Tuesday. We got to put together a solid week of practice from start to finish, and then hopefully that translates into a great game.
All right, well, we'll talk about that Madawan game next week. Lakeview's playing at home, and hopefully a big crowd come out for homecoming, and everyone will get excited about that. Thanks a lot, Coach Brett. We'll be doing that next week, and we'll be signing off for this week on Coach's Corner on WBCK FN. I'm Ben Bill Broderick of the Valkyrie Inquirer.